Hey, I want to put out something here. It's kind of like, it's my own thought on this. And I guess it's something I mentioned it on the other video I did. And maybe this guy, whatever his name was, I forgot the hell the guy that was the hacker from Romania. I forgot his damn name. Um, maybe he's not dead in the jail. But I did get that off of UK dailymail.com or whatever. And there's so many sites that got it. I know there's a lot of other sites out there that aren't stuff I trust in a million years, but knowing the Clintons and what just happened with John Ash, yeah, maybe. And I could also see why Comey said what the hell he said. But in reality, he did indict Hillary. I tell you, man. If he's not the guy that indicts her, he's supposed to be the one that recommends. He indicts her. He did because what you see, you got to figure this, and I didn't figure it at first, but I'm a shrewdy too. Okay, I'm used to dealing with not this kind of government stuff, but I'm used to dealing with shrewd circles, and I like doing this YouTube. Now, if you think I'm doing this video for attention or something, yeah, it'd be nice if I got a lot of hits on this video and stuff. But I can tell you one thing: the powers that be don't like me putting out these kind of videos. Okay, there's people out there that are career liberals, like the Young Turks and stuff. That guy on the Young Turks, he decided to be a career liberal. I think he's boring as shit, and it's like if you go in that direction, you will get more money. I'm not going in that direction. Got it? So don't go thinking I'm trying to because I'm smarter than anything. If I want to play multimedia, freaking graphics left and right, I can go hire somebody and all this other bullshit. I am not. I'm just putting out the raw information, but my thought processes on this are unique. And see, when FBI Director Comey went out and said that, here's all the reasons, here's all the things we found. Yeah, we found so many top secret emails, and yes, she was grossly negligent and blah, blah, blah. And then he goes, well, there was no ill intent, so we don't recommend, an indictment. So, the law doesn't state ill intent. It has nothing to do with it because there was like people that released information and it retroactively became secret, right? And they went to jail for like umpteen years. And he's really a big stickler on this. The thing is, obviously, if he said something, Vince Foster used to be the Attorney General, the same position as Loretta Lynch. And you look what happened to him, man. Look what happened to freaking what the hell is that name? Ron Brown, right? Remember Ron Brown? Commerce Secretary. He was actually the Clinton what the hell was he was a campaign manager, and Clinton actually appointed him to the Secretary of Commerce. Once it started getting investigated on Whitewater and all the stuff that was going on with Clinton campaigns. Well, the number two plane, like right after Air Force One, the most secure plane, right after Air Force One, crashed into the side of a mountainside in Bosnia, and of course Ron Brown was dead. So this guy's freaking not stupid. He's not going to do that. Actually, I got respect for the guy now. I do, because it's like, what is he going to do? But he did. You see, if he was going to just totally protect the Clintons all the way, he would have said, well, we didn't. Anything we found was not reason to cause her to be recommended for indictment. And like he said, he did not need to go in all those details, but he did, didn't he? Smart, buddy. That's pretty damn smart. Of course, he's taking shit from both sides for doing this, but it actually indicts the crap out of her, because if he would have even recommended an indictment, first off, he would probably been dead or something. The other thing is, nothing would have happened with it. But now that he outlined all the stuff he found, and then everybody's getting all pissed off that the indictment isn't being recommended, it's like she's getting twice as much heat as if he recommended an indictment to Loretta Lynch herself. Got it? So I think it was slick. Now the problem is, I'm going to tell you something else. She is counting on people coming in this country, illegally to vote for her, illegals. But you know what? If the message gets out to the illegals, don't vote for this bitch because she's using you, and she's going to be a banana republic dictator. The kind of stuff you don't want to be in, you don't want to run in your government. The whole plan might backfire right there. if they got the message out like that. But of course, the conservative groups don't put that out like that. See, I don't really give a damn too much about illegals that much. I mean, it could be bad, it could be good. But I realize, if somebody's coming over here to freaking just work their ass off or something, or try to, you know what I mean? I know what Trump says, like, Mexico's just dumping off the worst guys that they don't want in Mexico, but you don't even know. It's not all that way. And the only thing is, I think, people that come here illegally ought to speak the King's English. Like my family had it too. Like I got lineage going all the way back on my dad's side that spoke the King's English because they came from England. But my mom's side came from Italy. So, and actually she's got a little English there someplace from some of the great grandpa or some shit. But anyway, that guy was supposedly the illegitimate son of Duke Albert Edward. I don't know. I'm finding out about that. It's something else. But anyway, she's like trying to freaking play the freaking, the illegals coming illegals. And even if you're Muslim and you're coming over and you're jihadist, why would you vote for this bitch? She's terrible, man. She's breaking Sharia law left and right? Why the hell would you vote for her? Well, you know what the deal is. They're all trying to make it look. That's another scam too. Now Putin, he might drop the goods on her, maybe. I don't know. There's a couple things that can go, and I mentioned this, like Putin's going to drop the goods on her. He might. Well, I think, I know he's got really two choices here. He can actually use everything he's got on her to bribe her if she becomes president and control her like a little puppet. If you don't do what I tell you, I'm going to drop the goods on you, right? He could do that. But personally, if I was him, I'd look at her as a loose cannon. Like, in other words, you can't trust this yo-yo lady, man. She's very unstable. In other words, she can just have a Hillary moment and go, I'm on a nuclear button. This Putin tried to bribe me. I want to nuke him. He might be, if he's got a brain, I would think that way, dude. I'm telling you, Putin, right now. That's what you would do. If you try to freaking use the information on her that you got, everything. All the deals, like how many billions of dollars or millions of dollars, tens and hundreds of millions of dollars came in through the Clintons Foundation. That's why she did it's not like she did a private email server just for the hell of it. She did it because she was trying to keep it out of the prying eyes of the freaking other parts of the government so she can do a lot of deals behind the scenes as Secretary of State to enrich her BS freaking Clinton Foundation. Which tells you the IRS is a load of shit, too. They're all a load of shit. They should have freaking slammed that Clinton Foundation a long time ago. But they won't. Anyway. And this is why they're trying to grab the guns, because everybody will just freaking shoot everybody in the government. You know what I mean? It's coming down to that shit. They're all fucked up. Yeah, sorry for saying that, but you know what? It is the Gestapo Banana Republic to the max, and they're coming for you to kill you. And, even Russia, they're against people having guns. You know why? Because this guy likes complete control, too. So, screw all the bullshit. Anyway, here we go. The other thing is, if you're talking about mass genocides and stuff, here's abortion. But, actually, I'm not too bad with Islam all the time. Like this guy right here, this could be, Obama on the left and Hillary on the right. I mean, they kind of support Muslim law and ISIS, and they tell you all this stuff. Well, they're breaking Muslim law, and you know what the penalty is? Just like the guy showing you over here. Hi, look, it's Obama and Hillary. Eee. Right? Why not do that? But Comey's actually smart. Actually, I'm respecting the guy now, because when he did this investigation, he's got all the raw data out there, right? And it's like he's got everything on. He can nail the shit out of her, but he's saying not to do it. And actually, you see, if it went to Loretta Lynch, like I repeat it again, if it went to Loretta Lynch and he says, here, we're going to indict her, boom, and he just gave her all the shit, right? And he didn't even mention what it was to the public. He could have played that. What would have happened? He would have been dead. Like John Ash, the barbell, or freaking Vince Foster, Marcy Park, or, Ron Brown into the side of the mountain in Bosnia, right? He would have been dead, right? Well, and, the government actually right now is your freaking enemy pretty much, but this guy actually probably isn't. I know everybody's right now is against him. I'm not buying it now because I'm really picking up. He's played a smooth, shrewd strategy. It was smart. Because if he would have just recommended to Lynch, everybody would have just said, "Oh, look, now it's in her ball, and she's got to do something about it," and nothing would have happened. It wouldn't have got as much media attention. Him outlining everything she did practically, and then saying, she didn't intend to do anything. Yeah, it was grossly negligent. There was a lot of carelessness. But, she just screwed up. No problem. Him doing that actually got way more media attention on it. Yeah, he's taking heat for it, though. But it looks like, on one side he's helping the Clintons, so he kind of clears them with the Clintons. But on the other side, he's not really. I think he's played a shrewd maneuver here. Man, he's played a shrewd maneuver. He's probably one of your good FBI guys. You know what I mean? He probably really is. Now, I don't know about the dude in freaking Virginia, if he's dead or not. He may be, maybe not. I saw a couple other, some people say these articles are bullshit, but how do you know if the things are bullshit? How do you even know what the cops tell you, for crying out loud? How do you even know? I mean, what happened with the 911 calls when they had the Orlando shooting? They all been confiscated by the FBI. We're going to ask you about that, buddy, Comey. Yeah, what happened with Comey? Comey, right? God, maybe he is a commie. But, it's coming down to, the government's against our ass, man, all the way. And they're easily, it's easily been, we see the problem that's going on. We got the Banana Republic here, but he might have been playing a shrewd maneuver. I know anytime you're in these positions, you can't be complaining, I'm going to be 100% honest. I'm Dudley Do-Right. This is the law, and he will be this way. Yeah, he wouldn't have got where he's at if he was Dudley Do-Right, okay? No way. You know Dudley Do-Right of the Canadian Mountains? Mounties? Dudley Do-Right, that little cartoon? That's not him. But he probably did drop some dimes on her, so. Anyway, hi, Hillary. It's kind of funny with this deal. This could be a revolution, man. Absolutely. Flat out real revolution, man. With boom, 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 and all this other shit. Maybe that's what they're looking for too. I don't know. But it's like ludicrous to think that Hillary's going to survive even this in a presidency, because I think the people that are around her are going to waste her, like in the Praetorian Guard of the Roman Empire. It was like the Roman emperors were so freaking evil that they used to polish. Some of them used to polish the columns, the marble columns in a palace they were in, so they could see an assassin coming up on them. So they had mirrors everywhere, so they could look. So when they looked in the column, they could see, the marble column. They could see if there's an assassin coming up behind them. And she's probably going to get whacked, even when she's in office, by the Secret Service. That's what I think. And, there's been so many rumors about her bad health. It's natural causes. I can tell you right now, one of the big things they also do is brain cancer. She might have that shit. I don't know if she does or doesn't. Maybe not. But, interesting that, what was it, Mondale's daughter, all the reports that came around that she was screwing around with Bill Clinton. Mondale, and so to kill that story, Mondale's daughter died of brain cancer. Vice President Mondale, remember that guy? And then you got Biden's son with all the freaking stuff going on with the allegations with his deals going on in Ukraine. And he died of brain cancer. Then you got freaking Teddy Kennedy. They're young people, right? Teddy Kennedy, the older guy, died of brain cancer, but he was involved in so much shit. See, I think that's a typical freaking assassination thing. She might be a brain cancer victim. But that doesn't really alleviate the problem, because the government has actually gotten way too big now. The one thing they're going after is the guns, big time. And if they go after them, I say fight back all the way. If they make gun ownership illegal in this country, and I'm talking about, the full size freaking semi-automatic 30-round magazines, they can start making that illegal. Time to fight them all the way. No fucking around, because you can't defend yourself against a tyrannical government with a freaking pop gun, pistol, and single-shot shotguns and all that other bullshit, for hunting purposes. It's not what you got it for. And if they want to say you're paranoid, well, I'll say, well, you know what? You guys are paranoid about the freaking people owning guns. Because you know what? Almost all the freaking damn mass shootings, almost all of them, actually. Listen to Steven Seagal. He's one of the few Hollywood actors that tells you the truth. They're all freaking staged. Probably the FBI, Comey over here. Comey. What a funny name. That should be the name for Trump, Comey. He combs his hair a lot, right? And I don't really trust Trump, man, because he could be throwing a shit to Hillary, after he gets the nomination. He's been with the Clintons forever, right? Trumpy. I don't know. But I gotta throw these out here. Actually, these are videos that are not really good for me to throw out, for like, me doing YouTube and stuff. Some people might be thinking, I'm just trying to get attention. No, I'm not. And I'm actually putting them out in a kind of a humorous way, in a kind of a flippant way, just shooting from the hip, actually. But I'm telling you flat out the raw deal. I'm giving you the real information. This guy probably did freaking. See, he is somebody, even though he's in the hip pocket of the Banana Republic, more or less, he's somebody that was really hot on his security bullshit. He's somebody that never liked. He was somebody that, if you did any kind of security breach, he'd burn the shit out of you. And, Clinton, she did all kinds of security breaches, way beyond what he's even outlined in his speech, right? When he said don't indict her and stuff, we don't recommend getting her indicted. He's real hot and heavy on that shit, big time. He doesn't like the fact that she's got to get scot free. But then, like I said, I think he's playing a game. I think he's playing a game because if he was like totally on the Clinton side, he would have said, "Hey, you know what? We just recommend we didn't find enough evidence that she should be indicted. Sorry." We did a thorough search, and nothing was really found that was substantial that would recommend indictment. And then that would have been the end of the speech. But he outlined exactly what she did, and actually all the shit she did was in violation of the law, big time. And then they're saying, "Oh, well, we don't recommend indictment." So he actually indicted her by doing that. He's taking shit for it. He's see that's one thing he's actually hot on. I don't know if he's so freaking good about a lot of other stuff, though. I can tell you that right now because the FBI is dirty in a lot of things. They're the the fibbing institute of AWIPes for the freaking administration. So Hillary, I think she's going down one way or the other, though. And unfortunately, though, the whole country's probably going to go down economically. That's the one thing. And, I want to say something, too. I'm probably going to say this on other videos. Gun ownership is something that is actually requires responsibility. And I know these libtards, I'm going to put this out on another freaking video. A lot of these libtards, they don't want to own a gun because they're afraid they can't trust themselves. You know what I mean? And, these libtards don't even have the balls to freaking protect themselves if they needed to. That's another thing. Like, in other words, like if you own a gun, you got to be, like, responsible. Big word, right? And, but the other thing is, what the hell, these people just want to delegate that responsibility to somebody else. That's what the deal is, right? They're afraid of themselves. That's why they own a gun. That's why they argue for gun control, believe it or not. That's really the main argument these jerks are doing. They're too much of a pussy. I don't even want to call them pussy. They can do whatever the hell they want. But, they're too afraid to be responsible for something. They can't trust themselves with a gun. That's the deal. But I also realize, I could trust myself with a gun, no problem. I mean, it's like, how many videos I put out on health? Maybe these libtards think they're going to use the gun on themselves. Me, freaking no way in hell. Because, you can see on my videos, I'd like to live thousands of years if I could possibly can. I mean, I have absolutely no problem with being, living a real long time. I enjoy being alive, you know what I mean? And actually, I'm not a person that, if I used a gun in self-defense, would I shoot the shit out of somebody? I try to just hit that person in an area to stop them. And I think I can, I'm not a person that would just shoot the shit out of somebody like, a cop would do. Like a lot of cops would do. Yeah, I was in fear of my life. He looked like he was going for a gum wrapper. Like the SWAT team did in Orlando. You hear that freaking video? I wouldn't do some shit like that. I'd just take out the bad guy only with one shot, and I wouldn't even try to, kill him. I'd make sure it was a shot that was non-fatal. That's how I am. But when it comes down to, the government trying to freaking kill the freaking mass population, I'm on the side of the people. And I realize we're talking about not the government. We're talking about the Gestapo, Nazi, SS, Waffen SS, you name it. And you know what? If you think that's too strong of a word, it's not strong enough of a word, okay? Because I know some of these people on the major media say, you can't say that. You mean our government's compared to the Nazis? Oh, you're just trying to be emotionally. No, it's worse than that, okay, pal? All right? And you know what? As somebody, a defender of, innocent life, I'll go after those fucking bastards, no problem. You and I ain't afraid to say it. You don't like that, YouTube? You know what? Well, then you're a Nazi. I ain't. All right? See, I would be one of the few morons out there defending the Jews. Way back when. Yeah, you say, oh, yeah, you weren't way back when. You're just saying that from your chair. No, I would have been. Because I take a lot of shit on this channel as it is, defending Jews as it is, from these freaking anti-Semite conspiracy theory yo-yos. And I did say something about that before, because I can tell you that the CIA and the FBI have conditioned the public to think that everything going on in the United States is coming from the Jews. Wrong. Wrong. They're setting them up. Personally, I think Israel ought to be in the northwest Rocky Mountains of the United States, protected by the USA instead of over there in freaking desert land. But and we can go fight the Mormons and Mitt Romney. But anyway, Comey, you didn't do a bad job on this deal overall, and that's a lot of people don't recognize it. But the fact that you pissed off the whole population, you made this a major media point now. It's like the issue that was going away is now out there twice as much, even if you recommended an indictment. They would say, oh, it's a right-wing conspiracy if you recommend an indictment. That's what the left would have studied. I don't know, left, right, whatever the hell it is. Well, you know what? The left is correct about George Bush, okay? I know. 911, George Bush, evil. Herbert Walker Bush, evil. You know what I mean? I know that. I think, it's just like I said, you ought to give all these people to this guy. No problem, right? Hey, we celebrate. Anyway, there you go. And this is the abortion map, too. That's another thing everybody ignores in the United States. We can't, we value life here in the United States. We want to protect our citizens, but we have abortion. Anyway, right? Actually, there should have been one abortion right here with this lady. How about, after-birth abortion? Not just partial birth abortion, after-birth abortion? Yeah. Anyway, Secret Service, do your job, man. Protect her. What about one of those DARPA cockroaches or some shit? You can have her walk around the Oval Office and she crawl up her leg. DARPA cockroach enters Hillary. Anyway, all right. I'm trying to be funny on this thing, okay? I don't even run a script, all right? I got more brains. You know what pisses me off? I got more brains than that freaking Young Turks yo-yo. I don't have more brains than Jon Stewart. I like him. I consider him the master. I don't always agree with him or something like that, but I do agree he's funny. And I don't plan nothing. You know what I mean? I don't plan nothing. I got a brain. I take vitamin C and glutathione and wonderful stuff for my brain and lecithin and coconut oil. I ain't stupid, man. I got a freaking IQ 135. I don't even know what the hell I'm going to say on here 99% of the time. So whatever comes out is there, And if you think I'm doing this, I know these kind of videos. I know the powers of Google, God, government don't like these videos. I know that. They want me to do cat videos and car videos and, turn a wrench and healing videos and I don't know, some shit like that. They don't like me doing these. It's politically incorrect. So I'm not doing this for me really. It's for you guys, okay? And but I am thinking outside the box. I'm telling you stuff these piss poor freaking conservatives aren't. They aggravate me more than the liberals a lot of times, man. I'm telling you, really. Some of these conservatives are and I'm not even. You know what? I got it going on here too long. If I was like Obama, well, you know what? I don't even give a shit, man. I don't give a shit anybody does. I'm like, God, I hate stupid rules, man. That's why I'm not really religious either. I'm not like real religious or nothing. I'm like, But I realize she's evil. Okay. I mean, she'd be great. I mean, I'd have her as the madam of the brothel. Madam President Hillary Clinton of the freaking the kitty cat brothel. Okay. She can take care of the witches, and she can hook up with them all she wants. Along with Bill. I mean, that'd be okay. As long as she gets the hell out of the White House. Anyway, over and out.